to society, overwhelmed trying to avoid your enemies, overwhelmed in trying to find some level of consistency. And dealing with all of that, sometimes it causes you to tremble. If you've never been overwhelmed, then you have no idea what I'm talking about. But there are about 1,500 of you who are in the room who are saying, Pastor, you can pass me the mic. I can preach it from here. Because I know what it's like to be overwhelmed, where it is you have trouble breathing and you don't even have asthma. You're overwhelmed because you can't go to sleep. You don't watch every episode of Criminal Minds, Law and Order, HDTV. Y'all ain't talking back to me. You're overwhelmed and you're not sure what to eat, and you'll eat just because you're not even hungry, but because you're bored. You're overwhelmed, and so you begin to second guess your value, and so you'll pay attention to people who do not even have what it takes to be in your company, but just because you don't want to be by yourself, you'll lower your standards. You don't know what it's like to be overwhelmed, to have to defend to your child why it is they got a deadbeat parent who's not AWOL but just wants to show up as a celebrity as if they really doing something, and you carrying all the weight. You don't know what it's like to be overwhelmed when people can't stand you, so they try to kill your ideas. You don't know what it's like to be overwhelmed when it is some days you want to drive past your own house because you just don't feel like the drama and the arguments and feeling with petty stuff. I'm talking of those of you who know what it's like to be overwhelmed, where you just watch the phone ring because you know whoever's on the other side wants something from you, and you don't even feel like being bothered. You know what it's like to be overwhelmed because you see one of the saints from the church in the mall and in the supermarket, and you try to avoid them because I don't feel like no scripture. I don't feel like you trying to pump me up. I don't want to know that he may not come when I want him to come. I'm at a place I don't feel like turning to my neighbor. I don't want to hug nobody. I don't want to give nobody a high five. Please don't make me speak to these plastic, phony, trifling, ridiculous people. I'm overwhelmed. And you don't know what it's like to carry that kind of burden, to carry that kind of weight, to know that monkey is sitting on your back, to feel like there's a pit in your stomach and it just won't move. You got serial migraine headaches and you can't even find the Tylenol strong enough to wipe it out. Y'all ain't talking back to me. You that close to backsliding, and you got to say, Lord, please help me, because I'm stressed right now and I'm not used to being broke, and my problem is I know where I can get some money. Y'all ain't talking back to me, and I'm trying to do this the right way. But see, y'all, it's easy to be saved when you don't have options, but it takes a different call to holiness when you know where you can get what you need, but you're trying to be faithful to what God has called you to do. I need you to just indulge me. Indulge me. I haven't been to the new building yet, so some of you don't know me. Please just indulge me, if you will. Indulge me, if you will. If you don't mind, please, if you don't mind, would everybody just stand right where you are, please? Thank you so much. Just indulge me. I know it's going to seem crazy. I know it's going to seem insane, but would you just stand now that you're standing? Would you just switch seats with somebody? Switch seats with somebody. Thank you so much. Just indulge me. I know it looks crazy. Would you just lift up your hands right where you are? Thank you. Now, would you stretch them out wide right where you are? Thank you so much. And now you may be seated in your new seat. Be seated in your new seat. I got to show you something, and it's going to bless about 500 of you. I just need y'all to stay with me. First Lady, about 5 years ago when we were having twins, I was having twins. I got twin daughters, Angel and Adore. They're 5 years old, and while we were having twins, the doctor said something crazy. It seemed crazy to me. It said to Giselle, with all of the weight that you're carrying, it's going to be hard for you to sleep. It's going to be hard for you to find a comfortable place. It's going to be hard for you to balance, and it's going to be hard for you to walk. And here's what the doctor told Giselle that I'm now getting ready to tell you. But when you're carrying that weight and the weight becomes too much, the only thing I need for you to do is switch positions. God help me. And the moment you switch position, then the weight will be lifted. 500 of y'all are slow. Let me see if I can help you. God told me to tell you that when you moved a minute ago, the weight you've been carrying, the stress that you've been under, all of the anxiety that's been on your back, God said the weight just shifted, but I needed you to change positions. Be seated, please. Says I need you to change. Because when you change positions, the thing you're carrying is going to get closer to coming out of you. You just missed it. When you change position, you're getting closer to delivery. But as long as you stay in the same position, it won't move. I am not preaching to regular people. I'm preaching to those of you who are carrying something heavy. You got an outlandish dream. You got a crazy idea. You got an unbelievable passion. You got a dream. You got a goal. God said, if you're carrying it, if you move, I'm getting ready to shift the thing that's in you. Because the enemy did not want you to go full term with what it is you're carrying. But those of you who know this is the year that everything God put in me is getting ready to come out of me, and all I gotta do is change position. Be seated, please. Right where you are. Be seated right where you are. I believe by faith, ladies and gentlemen, as we jaywalk into our text, that you'll notice something strategic happens, because our precious Savior is now getting, Pastor Dewey, is getting ready to experience acute labor pains. He's experiencing acute labor pains because, hear me, he's getting ready to go through the biggest test of his life. He's now coming to the epiphany moment that he understands that his assignment in the earth was not to turn water into wine. He was not dispatched from heaven to, in fact, turn that old hill into old country buffet. He was not sent, ladies and gentlemen, just to kick tables over in the tabernacle. But he had to go through one last test. Hear me, to go through the biggest thing of his life. I think y'all are missing me. Those of you who are daydreaming, you getting ready to miss it. But the 1,500 of you who riding with me, please stay with me. God is in fact telling me to share with you tonight that what you're going through right now is one of your greatest tests. It's one of your greatest tests, because when you come out of this, you're going through the thing you were born to do. God help me in here. You cannot come out of this and just go to another job. You can't come out of this and just go to another relationship. You can't come out of this and act like business as usual. But God says, when you come out of this, you're going to realize what my assignment is. There's got to be more to my life than paying bills and raising kids. You got a purpose for me to fulfill. There is Dean Carter, an African proverb, and the African proverb that hails from Ghana says that there are two important days in every person's life. The first important day is the day that you were born. And the second important day is the day you find out why you were born. God sent me to Atlanta, Georgia tonight to announce to you, you get ready to find out what you were born to do.
God help me in here. And your haters' number one problem is they underestimated you. God help me. They thought you were just going to live through life living a regular, mundane, ridiculous life. But they don't understand all of that was just the process. I had to hang out with y'all boogers so God could keep me humble. But when God gets me out of this, I'm getting ready to go where eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. This is the greatest test of your life, because the next thing, God help me, is going to be the best thing. I need 800 of you to holler at your boy and declare the next thing is going to be the best thing. Y'all didn't believe that? Let me find somebody. Let that marinate in your spirit. Would you declare it again? The next thing is going to be the best thing. God help me. This is the slow class. I'm waiting for the yellow bus to come in. I need you to declare it like you know I'm talking to you. The next thing is going to be the best thing. Now let me see how many of y'all got faith. How many of you all know the next thing God got for me is going to be the best thing I ever had in my life? I just got to go through a period of feeling overwhelmed. And how do you know that you get ready to go to the next thing? You know you get ready to go to the next thing, ladies and gentlemen, when God separates you from people. Oh my God, he's got 12 disciples, but he says, I got to leave 9 of y'all, only 3 gonna hang with me in the inner circle. I can't hear nobody. I need somebody. You need to begin celebrating. Watch this, not for what you have, and this is gonna be a crazy shout. I need you to shout for the people who no longer with you. God help me, because God had to separate you from some people so you could find out, what am I really called for? Says, I'm going a little bit further. And I'm going a little bit further. I'm going to find out what is the call on my life. How about everybody can't hang with me for where it is that I'm going? Hey, I don't need no friends right here who's secretly jealous. I don't need nobody who's smiling in my face but text messaging behind my back. I don't need nobody who tells me I'm spoiled and I expect too much. I want somebody who gonna hold me down and say, you do the doggone thing. When you eat, we all eat. God getting ready to bless you when I got 3 real friends. Says, I'm going a little bit further, but I'm not taking everybody with me. I'm only going to take 3. Can I say to somebody that the text shares with us that this is really the lost episode of Let's Make a Deal. He's in the Garden of Gethsemane, which is at the foot of the Mount of Olives. And in so doing, he's trying to figure out, is there a clause in his contract whereby he can find a loophole to navigate out? And he begins praying, but the problem is of where he decides to pray. He decides to pray, ladies and gentlemen, watch it, is what my 4-year-old twins would call blues clues. Is right there in the text. Is that he says, watch this, I'm going to pray in Gethsemane, which is at the foot of the Mount of Olives. I think I've lost you. Let me see if I can help you. Gethsemane, ladies and gentlemen, translates to mean the place of crushing. Hallelujah. Now, he's in the place of crushing, and that's where he's praying. God, he's in a place, watch this, where this is not comfortable for me, but I'm still praying. See, it's easy to worship God when you don't feel no pressure. But it takes a different kind of maturity to love him even when it feels like he's killing you. Y'all ain't never been there. When you don't even understand why I'm tithing and still broke. Why I'm nice to folk and they nasty to me. I can't hear nobody. Why I'm shouting but I ain't really feeling nothing. I'm trying to figure out, how do I keep praying when I feel like I'm in a crushing place? And the text says, ladies and gentlemen, he's praying
in a place where he feels crushed, where he feels overwhelmed. But strategically, where is it? At the foot of the Mount of Olives. And so he begins to pray, and in issuing his plaintive plea unto God, he says, Father, not my will. But there's a dramatic pause in the text. And I just believe in my own sanctified imagination that Jesus began to peek out of one of his eyes. And in peeking out of one of his eyes as he's praying, Lord, not my will, something grabbed his attention. And what grabbed his attention, Pastor Dewey, was he saw an olive dangling off a tree. And he began to think about in his own mind what that tree was going to have to go through. And he says, if that olive has got to go through a crushing in order for the oil